Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. Now, let's talk about the huge deals that we're hoping could happen very soon. And let's start with an update on Nico Williams. Team News and Tix has had this to report. Arsenal realize it will be difficult for Barcelona to complete the Nico Williams deal. Arsenal are waiting. And just a couple of, I think a week ago, he had this to say. If Barcelona can't get Nico Williams done because of financial reasons, then Arsenal are positioning themselves. He's our top choice. Arsenal tried really hard to get him in before the Euro 2024, but Barcelona was his preference. So I guess Arsenal are approaching this deal like this. They feel like Nico Williams would want to play for Barcelona. They know Nico Williams would choose Barcelona. Fair enough. Personally, I do feel the same. No one is 100% sure. No one is definitely saying, Nico Williams definitely wants to play for Barcelona, definitely wants to play next to Lamine Yamal. No, you're just assuming. Most of those players would want to play for Barcelona. They'd want to, move from Bilbao to Madrid to Barcelona and stay in their country and still play for, a bigger team in their country instead of moving to the Premier League. That is what we are assuming. And it looks like Arsenal are assuming the same. The player would want to go to Barcelona. There was mention about him, being kind of a Barcelona fan back in the day. So that is the realistic approach. They're looking at it like, listen, in case he doesn't go to Barcelona, we are the favorites after Barcelona. So Arsenal are banking on Barcelona not having the cash right now. So some of you would say, why can't we just try and sign him right now? It might not be possible because he might want to join Barcelona, and Barcelona are the ones who are ahead of us in terms of signing Nico Williams. So it doesn't matter how much you try. We could try for a full month right now and then agree on everything, and then Barcelona get the money for him, and then he says, you know what, I've decided to join Barcelona, so there's no need. So Arsenal just sitting there and waiting to pounce in case Barcelona don't have the money for Nico Williams, and Nico Williams still wants to move away from Bilbao. Then we pounce on him. Now, after Barcelona, I'm very confident of getting this player. Now, there's a couple of teams whenever we are linked to players, I'm like, yeah, I can see why they could choose that team. Like if Arsenal want a player and Man City want a player, I'd not be surprised if he chooses Man City because of various reasons. Champions League finals recently, I think 2 in the last term. Two, or actually, how many? Yeah, 2 in the last 3 years. Man City always get to the semi-final of Champions Leagues. 4 Premier League titles in a row, playing under Guardiola, playing next to Haaland and De Bruyne. There's a lot of reasons why someone would want to join Man City. Real Madrid, you already know all the reasons someone would want to join Real Madrid. One of the biggest clubs in the world, if not the biggest. Champions League finals every season guaranteed. Played next to Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinicius. So if we want to play in Madrid, want to play, I'm always like, we never know. They could easily join Madrid because of all of those reasons. And same with Man City. And in this case, Barcelona, because Barcelona is a Spanish team, and a lot of those Bilbao, Betis, Sociedad players would want that move to Barcelona. And because of Ronaldo and Messi over the last 10, 15 years, what they did at those clubs, all of these players would want to go there and replicate it. Especially if you're from Spain, like Nico Williams is, he'd like to stay there closer to his family and play next to Yamal and almost linked to Barcelona. Imagine him playing next to all of those players, and Pedri's already there and Gavi's already there. There's a lot of reasons why I'd want to go to Barcelona. But if it fails, then I believe Arsenal are the ones who are ahead of every other team. Now, if Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea want Nico Williams, I'd be like, yeah, we're definitely going to get him. We can convince him more than Liverpool and Chelsea. We're ahead of those teams in the league. We're expecting to, win trophies this season. I don't think Chelsea expecting to win trophies this season. No, I don't think they're going into the season expecting to win trophies. So we would convince Nico Williams, you want to join Arsenal? You can join us. And Chelsea, anyway, Chelsea would not be able to pay his wages because they don't really want to pay more than 150,000 per week for any player. And Nico Williams would cost a lot. I think it would be more than 250,000 per week. You'd have to spend a lot of money on him to get this signing done. But if it doesn't go to Barcelona, we have a very, very big chance, as Team News and Tix has said. But it's one that we have to be very, very patient with because of a lot of reasons. Arsenal are expecting him to join Barcelona, so they have to wait for what is going to go on with that deal. And number 2, the player's on holiday anyway, so coming back next month. So we have to be very patient with this one. Now, in terms of a winger, Nico Williams, our winger position, I think this could carry on up until after the season has already started, maybe even 2 weeks into the season, and then you could see maybe a deadline day signing for the first time in a long time. These days we don't make deadline day deals, I think, apart from Tommy Yaswin Partey recently. All the others, we've been doing our businesses early, and by the time we get to the deadline day, it's boring for us because we've already completed all our deals. Now, Nico Williams, you already know he has a release clause. 58 million euros, around 49 million pounds. So very cheap. So I think if you pay that kind of money for him, for a player like Nico Williams, I feel like in the next 2 years, it could easily be worth 100 million. Like if he keeps on performing like he did at the Euros, and excites everyone once again now, performs in the Champions League, performs in the other big competitions, maybe the World Cup in the next 2 years, then his value rockets up even more. Now we're hoping by the time it rockets up, he's an Arsenal player. Now, is winger our priority? Not really. A lot of you believe that strikers are our priority. A lot of you believe midfield is our priority. Backup for Saka is a priority. Now, Nico Williams comes to Arsenal, is not really a backup. He probably plays right away, and Martinelli and Trossard maybe back him up, or maybe Martinelli goes to the right side. Who knows? But Nico Williams would definitely bring so much excitement to the fan base for sure. It brings so much excitement to the team. It brings so much talent and quality to the team, and it brings so much competition to the team. Like when you see someone like a Nico Williams in your team, you have to be good, otherwise you're going to be on the bench for sure. And we can argue you already have Martinelli and Trossard, but the way Man City do it, Man City keep on adding players every single season. So to compete with them, you have to have a team where we look at the bench and you're like, yeah, this is an incredible bench. We have like 350 million pound players there on the bench, whatever. That needs to be the case. You can't just have 5 million pound players, academy players, and dead rubber. Is it a dead rubber? No, dead wood players on the bench and all that. You can't have all that on the bench. You have to be having a team that can compete with Man City. You look at Man City's bench, you see Grealish, 100 million. You see Gvardiol, 75 million. You see Doku there on the bench. You see Alvarez. All these players are incredible players who would start for almost every single team in the Premier League. Now, you want to have the same team. On a random match day, you look at the bench and you're like, oh, Jesus is there, almost 50 million. You look at the bench, you're like, oh, Trossard or Martinelli is there. Or even look, Nico Williams is there. Or you look at the bench, Havertz is there. And then you look at the defense, Timber is on the bench. And then Calafiori is on the bench. And then you look at the one that is starting, you still have Gabriel, Saliba, Tomias. Like, that is the kind of squad you need to have to compete with Man City. And not only with Man City, with Bayern Munich and Madrid as well in the Champions League. Because look at Madrid right now. They'll have a team of Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham, and Rodrigo, and they still Hendrick. That's a scary team. So to compete with those teams, we also have to kind of build our own superstar team. And we've not really spent millions of money on buying players like 90, 100 million. No, it was just really Rice. We've signed for 100 million. So Man City have signed a lot of those players for 100, 75, 80, 50, 60. We don't really have a squad like that in terms of money. I think Nico Williams would definitely fit that case. So that's the latest on Nico Williams. Let's see how it develops. If we don't get Nico Williams, we are still linked to another winger, but it has gone quiet for now. I guess they're going to approach Nico Williams first, and then if it doesn't work out, they can go for Pedro Neto later on in the transfer window. This is another one that if it's going to happen, if Nico Williams doesn't happen, this is going to be like, the last week of the transfer window. I can't see it happening right now. I think they would even anyway want to see how he does at the beginning of the season. If he stays fit and then at the first 3 games he scores and assists twice or something, then they're like, yeah, we can bring this player to be a backup for Saka and it would work out. So I don't think you're going to get both Pedro Neto and Nico Williams, especially right now. We are looking at a midfielder and striker first, and then the winger, I think it's kind of by the way, like we will if we can. We don't have to kind of scenario. I don't think they're going in completely for a winger. They're waiting to see what is happening with Nico Williams, and then if not, they can go for Pedro Neto later after that. Pedro Neto will cost us 50 million, a lot of money. I'm not sure about that figure because of those injuries, but we always say if Pedro Neto is without the injuries, he's definitely a 50 million pound player. He's absolutely incredible. Last season, before he got injured, I think he was leading the charts in terms of assists, and we already know he knows where the goal is in terms of being tricky. That's the kind of winger you want to like back up Saka. Like imagine taking off Saka in the 60th minute after he's already destroyed the other defender, and then you bring in Neto, whichever case. Maybe you're losing and Saka's not having the best of games, but on the bench you have Neto, you take off Saka, you bring in Neto. Or Saka's completely destroyed the defender, you're leading 2-0, and then they see Pedro Neto coming on. That would be scary. But the only thing with Pedro Neto is injuries. But that could also happen. That has gone quite the last 1 week. But I think if we don't get Nico Williams, we're going to hear more on Pedro Neto, but that is going to be next month. I don't think you're going to hear anything as of now. Right now, I think the focus is on, getting a midfielder and scouting a striker. And speaking of scouting strikers, today, Saturday, Sporting are playing against Bilbao, and Arsenal have sent their scouts to watch Victor Gyokeres at that game. I guess it's a case of just watching him to see how he's recovered from the operation and how he's doing this season. Was it a one lucky season, as everyone is saying? I don't think so, but I guess they're going to watch all that. We were told that Arsenal will monitor Victor Gyokeres throughout Sporting's preseason matches to see if they make a move for the Swedish striker. So this is the one that you're going to decide later on if you're going to make a move for him. I think we're eventually going to make a bid for him, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. They want 83 million, but Arsenal is like thinking of offering 60 to 65, so that is still low in terms of the valuation. Chelsea also want him, but there's no any other team that is around there. So the Victor Gyokeres one as well, I discussed it in detail in the live stream yesterday. Make sure to check that one out. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. Like, a lot of people will be very excited with Gyokeres signing. I've seen a lot of people saying, get Gyokeres instead of Osimhen. We need Gyokeres. Let's get Gyokeres. We can't win the league without Gyokeres. So if Gyokeres ended up joining us, it would be a very, very exciting signing for the fan base, just like Nico Williams. Imagine all of them in the team. And now what we can't expect Arsenal to sign Gyokeres, Nico Williams, Fabian Ruiz, Merino. That is not going to happen. I think it could be like 2, maybe 3 at most. Even 3 is a bit tricky. I think it could be 2. Now it depends on who you go for. Is it going to be Merino and Gyokeres? Is it going to be Gyokeres and Nico Williams? I think you're going to get maybe one forward. I really doubt you're going to see Gyokeres and Nico Williams both joining. I think if Gyokeres decides like to stay at Sporting, for example, Arsenal will push harder for Nico Williams. So I don't know. We don't know the budget this transfer window. We've only really signed this transfer window, forgetting about Trier as deal being made permanent right now. We've only really signed Calafiori, and that has cost us 40 million euros plus 5 million euros later on. That is 33 million pounds total. If Arsenal had a budget of like 170 million plus the players we are going to sell, Smith Rowe, we're getting that 5 million for him. Next season, you're going to get a bit of money for Tavares and Lokonga, and we could still sell Nketiah and Nelson this transfer window. There's money there that you can spend. So it depends on how Arsenal want to spend it. Will some of it go to Gyokeres and some of it to Nico Williams? That would be incredible. Imagine both of those guys joining Arsenal. That is just mind-blowing, even thinking of it. So let's see how that one develops as well. Calafiori, we have an update on Calafiori. The medical day has been changed. It's going to be happening in the morning. Ricardo Calafiori's travel plan has been rescheduled again with new plan due to Arsenal and Bologna completing all formal documents only right now. Calafiori will travel from Roma to London early morning on Saturday. Medical in London, then travel to the USA. This is according to Fabrizio Romano. The medical scheduling has been changed. No big deal, really. Anyway, I don't think there was a chance he could make on the bench on for the Man United game. But in terms of him like starting a game, I wouldn't have expected him to start the Man United game anyway, and he should be there for the Liverpool game. I think where we're really going to see him is at the Emirates Cup, where Arsenal is playing against Lyon and Leverkusen. That's where we are really going to see Calafiori as an Arsenal player. As of now, there's still a lot of details to go through. There's still a lot of things being finalized in terms of medical and the traveling. Like, you wouldn't even get the best of him against Liverpool after he travels all through the weekend and on Monday as well. We're not going to see the best of him. So I think we could see an appearance against Liverpool, but mainly like in terms of stats, you're going to have to wait up until the Emirates Cup, where we play Leverkusen and Lyon back when Arsenal is back in London. So those are the latest in terms of that. We discussed a lot on Merino and Fabian Ruiz on the live stream. Check that out. I'll link it right now. But as of now, thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next.